Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
The new Boost Mobile network is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for life.
That sounds like a threat.
Then how do you think we should say it?
Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for the rest of your life?
I don't know.
Until your ultimate demise.
What if we just say forever?
Okay.
$25 a month, forever.
Get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile forever.
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
How did you actually sleep last night? If it didn't feel like your very best rest, then you need to upgrade to the softest, most luxurious bedding from Boll & Branch. Their signature sheets are made from the finest 100% organic cotton and get softer with every wash. Millions of sleepers love their sheets, and right now, you can feel the difference for yourself during their biggest sales of the entire year. Hurry to bollandbranch.com to shop their best offers. Limited time only. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Husband!
Wife!
Do you know what we're reading today?
Well, not yesterday. We did our special episode yesterday for the patrons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The election
You
one.
should go listen to it. It was good.
It had
really
keys
good.
inside of it.
Yeah. But 2 days ago, we read Amos chapter 2.
Sure as fuck did.
And in that chapter, God was kind of pissed.
He was big mad.
He was big mad. Yeah. He was mad, I think, mostly at, everybody.
Mostly.
But it started off with him yelling at Moab, the king of Edom, and some different people.
Yeah.
And then it moved into Judah and Israel.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna kill y'all.
Yeah.
You're all sucking and you're not doing good things, and it's not gonna be good for you. It's not gonna be pretty.
This whole book of this whole Bible has been that.
Well, yeah.
You just described every fucking chapter.
Yeah, no, I get a little sick of saying it, honestly. It's just like God hates what people are doing and then, murders people.
Yep, pretty much.
That's how it goes.
Yep.
So, yeah, so that was basically the gist of Amos chapter 2.
Okay.
Which means that today we're getting into Amos chapter 3. And even tomorrow it'll be 4. Mm-hmm. All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. Alrighty, let's get into this Amos chapter 3.
Amos.
What? Why?
Because I wanted to.
But you didn't correct me last time.
I know, and you gave me hell after the podcast.
Gave you hell?
You mentioned it. You're like, you didn't even correct me. And I was like, well, I guess I got to correct you now.
Okay, that is not how I said it, and that is not giving you hell, even if it was how I said it. You responded that Amos is close enough to Amos that you were not going to worry about it.
It's true.
So I just assumed when you said that you weren't, going to worry about it. And then just now you did. So I'm like a little taken aback.
I'm sorry. I'll try not to correct you as much this book as other books.
Okay.
Because it is pretty close.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, you keep calling him Amos.
Amos?
No, you aren't saying Amos. You're saying Amos.
Oh, okay. So I say it wrong too.
You say it wrong because you're dumb.
I wonder, it would be an impossible task. How many things we've said wrong in this podcast?
Oh, gosh.
Like mispronunciations,
That would That would be embarrassing.
It'd be a monumental task for someone to undertake.
Yeah, and it would be an embarrassing amount.
It really would.
I mean,
I know it's an embarrassing amount.
I can't even apologize enough for how many times I have fucked up, knowing that I fucked up.
Me too.
And that's not even people's names and places. That's just like English vocabulary, like
right.
even before I get into.
So I gotta go off on a little sidetrack here. So wife knows English really, really well. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. Knows English really, really well, but knows the written word much, 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 much better than the spoken word.
No, that is true, because I'm a reader first and then a writer.
Yeah.
And a speaker very last.
So wife often understands and knows and, can utilize a word and a sentence very easily, but has never actually heard it out loud.
Yes.
And therefore does not know how to pronounce it.
Right.
And oftentimes during our podcast, I'll look over at her and I'll be like, what the fuck did you just say?
And literally your face says that to me because I can read it.
Right. It's kind of funny, but and one of the reasons we need to eventually go into like a video podcast, I think, someday,
is so that people can hear you roll your eyes.
Set up for it. But yeah.
I think
our
you.
physical interactions during the podcast would be entertaining to some.
To some.
Yeah, for sure.
For, I don't know, maybe 4 people.
4 people?
Yeah. 4 people.
That might be generous, but yeah.
I can name them. I know the 4 people.
Right.
All right. I'm going to read this book now.
Okay. Let's do that.
I'll probably say some words wrong.
Yeah. Could be.
I'm okay with that. I've made my peace. Hear this word, people of Israel.
Okay.
The word the Lord has spoken against you. As I do. Against the whole family I brought up out of Egypt.
The whole family.
I read in the notes, he's referring to the entirety of his people as
Jacob,
one.
Israel, whatever.
Yeah, all of them together.
Yeah.
And it's strings attached,
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's been strings attached the whole fucking time.
Yeah. You only have I chosen of all the families of the earth.
I mean, that's not entirely true, actually, because there has been speak in the Bible in the later books that we've been reading where they're trying to, like, I think it was, who was the crazy prophet that was on drugs?
Oh, it started with an N, right? Or
no, I don't know.
Was it Ezekiel? No.
Ezekiel, yeah. It was Ezekiel. Yeah, Ezekiel, I remember specifically, they were talking about bringing in other, groups of people. Like, not just the Israelites. They were trying to, like, reach out to other cultures and things like that.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. I don't remember which dude it was.
But I'm pretty sure Ezekiel was one of them. It might have been in a couple of the prophets' books, right?
Right.
And so this is wrong. Like, it's wrong insofar as it is countered in other parts of the Bible, and
but
they're not their only.
But this happened before those.
I understand, but God
it's out of order.
But God, it's out of order. Yes.
So,
but God is also supposedly all-knowing, all-seeing, all whatever.
I'm going to push back on this one because if I told you yesterday we don't have any butter.
Yeah.
And then today we have butter because you went to the store. That doesn't contradict what I said yesterday.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So, a couple centuries ago, he's like, I've only chosen y'all. And y'all keep fucking up. And then several centuries later, with whoever it was, he's like, you know what? Let's bring in some new blood. It's not a contradiction. It's an adaptation.
I hear you. I guess my problem with the whole scenario is that nothing really changed, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least when you got the new butter, you went to go get the new butter.
Sure.
But his fucking people are still worshiping the sheriff holes like the whole goddamn time.
For centuries.
So, like, what? Yeah. Why are we bringing new people into the fold now versus then?
That is true.
Why is the now any different than the way back? It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe he got sick of it, just like when you can't find stuff in the fridge, and I get sick of it. And
I'm gonna try to find something new. So I'm gonna reach out to these people, see if they like me, and worship me correctly, because y'all can't find the fucking butter.
I mean, how many times have you been in the kitchen and I'm sitting on the couch doing something in the living room, and you're like, where's the butter? And I'm like, seriously? It's in the fridge. And you're like, I don't see it. And then I'm like, but you have to look. And you're like, I did. I am.
We just covered this in the last.
I know. I'm still upset about it. Yeah. I'm still really upset about it.
Yeah.
Because then, like, you're literally arguing with me that you can't see it and somehow I should care. And then I'm like, you might have to move things around. You have to use better eyes, and you have to try a little bit.
Sure.
You have to try, and you're like, I did move a couple. I don't see it. And then, like,
I'm just gonna take the L here and say, yeah, you're right. I suck.
Well, here's the thing.
Oh,
it's
we're
that,
not gonna drop it though.
No. It's that. What is that called? Where it's on purpose incompetence?
I'm sure I know what you're getting at, but I can't think of it on the spot.
Yeah, so. I can't think of what it is either. But it's something incompetence. It's basically where, like, and you don't necessarily have to know.
Willful ignorance?
No, not ignorance. Incompetence. Okay. It's
the willful incompetence.
That's what I said. But I don't think that's quite the right term. But it's basically like, and you may not be conscious that you're doing it. So you might not be doing it on purpose. But basically, you know that if you are just bad at something or stupid about something long enough, then eventually your partner will come in and clean up your mess or do the work for you or whatever. It is a phenomenon.
No, I got it. I didn't expect to be like completely chastised here at the beginning of the podcast.
Well, okay. You chastised me a little bit during our Patreon episode, so I do not want to hear
But that was based on what we were reading and talking about.
Ugh. Okay, but anyways, this is about finding shit in the fridge.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Nothing to do with anything.
No, it does. It does, because look, God is incompetent.
Yeah.
Right? And there it is.
Okay.
He's willfully incompetent.
So you're saying I am on the same level as a god.
Oh my God. That is not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying at all.
That's what I'm taking away from it.
Okay. You do that. That helps you sleep better at night. Anyways, you only have I chosen. This is such a bad phrasing. You only have I chosen of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I'll punish you for all your sins.
Okay. Sure.
I
chose you, so you guys are gonna get it worse than anybody,
right? And it's like, could you please not choose me?
Right? Yeah,
I don't.
How many times have we said that throughout this book?
Like,
we're like, I don't want to be chosen. Can I opt out?
I would love to.
I didn't sign anything here, so I'm just gonna like go over there.
I would very much like to be removed from the chat.
Right?
Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so?
I mean, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, if they're walking the same direction in a sidewalk.
Have you not been to New York?
Right?
I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's not that they... Well, I guess there is an unspoken agreement. Like, we're both going this way.
I guess they both had to choose to go in that direction.
Yeah.
But are they walking together, or are they just walking near each other?
See, that's a really good question.
The phrasing is a little not specific there.
Yeah, I guess... just walking the same direction next to each other is not actually walking together.
Right.
And so they would have to have agreed to be together. Although sometimes, like, if you and I go out, right? Like, let's say we go to the movies or something, right?
Yeah.
We have not said, we're going to walk from the car to the theater together and hold hands across the parking lot. Like, we never agreed.
But it's an unspoken agreement still.
It is an unspoken agreement, but does that count as an agreement?
I don't know.
Did we agree we're walking together because we have agreed to do so?
I don't know.
I'm probably being nitpicky.
We're nitpicking here.
I don't like the phrasing.
Right.
Anyway,
I got you.
Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? Does a lion roar in the thicket when it has no prey? Does it growl in its den when it has caught nothing? Does a bird swoop down to a trap on the ground when no bait is there? Does a trap spring up from the ground if it has not caught anything?
How much is the wind blowing?
When a trumpet sounds in a city, do not the people tremble?
Wait, what? Why would the people tremble with a trumpet? Because a trumpet's were used for war?
It's an alarm.
Okay.
The locusts are coming, the winds are coming. So it'd be like the army is coming.
Right. It would be like our sirens that we have now. Whatever
the klaxon things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so trumpet sounds, do not people tremble? When disaster comes to a city, has not the Lord caused it?
No, he has not.
No, he has always caused the disaster.
Well, in the Bible. In the Bible.
Yeah.
But I'm saying no, he does not.
Right, but in canon, every single disaster was his fucking fault.
Right.
Every single one.
Sure.
I blame him for everything in this fucking book.
Well, he owns up to most of it.
Yeah.
All of it, actually.
He's proud of it.
He's on purpose killing people.
He's basically who Trump modeled himself after. Like, yeah, I did it, and I'm proud of it, and you're stupid if you don't.
Right.
And,
now kiss my fucking boot.
And they do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, same people, usually. Interesting. Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets. The lion has roared. Who will not fear? The sovereign Lord has spoken. Who can but prophesy?
Again, he's saying that he's telling the prophets, right? Like that's what they're saying again here. And there is so much relying on what other people tell other people about what God says.
Okay, but see, here's the Christians coming in to correct you. Excuse ya, they were led by God.
They were led by God?
God led their hand to write down the words.
What is my
yours is not to know.
But
oh my God.
I don't accept that.
You're the devil.
Okay, that's fine.
The devil can quote scripture too.
That's great. That's great. So I mean, you know, anybody that has taught scripture can quote scripture. That's pretty much a
I'm the
given.
devil. I'm the devil as well. And my cat. Proclaim to the fortresses of Ashdod and to the fortresses of Egypt, assemble yourselves on the mountains of Samaria. See the great unrest within her and the oppression among her people. They do not know how to do right, declares the Lord, who store up in their fortresses what they have plundered and looted.
Okay.
Yeah, they're supposed to.
They're supposed to what?
Spend it real quick or melt it down. I don't know. Sacrifice it maybe?
Give it away?
Oh, I think it was sacrifice it.
Okay.
I really do. I think.
So give it to the priests, though.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not keep it for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says.
Okay.
An enemy will overrun your land, pull down your pull down your strongholds, and plunder your fortresses.
Okay.
This is what the sovereign Lord says. As a shepherd rescues from the lion's mouth only 2 leg bones or a piece of an ear, so will the Israelites living in Samaria be rescued with only the head of a bed and a piece of fabric from a couch.
Very specific. It's very specific.
It's only the left side cushion.
Right, but
not the right or center cushion.
Right.
And not the ones in the back. I'm talking about the one you sit on, just that one.
With regard to the lion, it's either 2 bones or a piece of an ear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not both.
Right.
You can't get both.
No,
but you can get one of the
no
one
tongues.
of those or the other.
No tongues.
Yeah, definitely no tongues. The lion likes that too much, apparently.
Yeah, and he swallowed all the buttons on your shirt. Hear this and testify against the descendants of Jacob, declares the Lord God Almighty.
Okay.
Lordy,
We're going to
God
testify
Almighty.
against the descendants of Jacob now.
Yes.
Who's testifying against them? Is this the prophets that are testifying against them, or the godly people that they're preaching to, or like how do we determine who is godly and who's not? Is it, again, apparently we're taking the word of this prophet, right? And if we're taking the word of the prophet, then the aspects of the northern tribes where they're still worshiping what they believe to be Yahweh, only in a different form, is...
If God was with them, they would have won out.
And also probably has prophets there as well,
if God was with them, they would have won out. They did not win out, therefore God was not with them. Boom. Okay. Question answered, problem solved.
You could argue that none of the Jewish folk has won out over time. Like they're
still here. God has been with them.
They are still here, but there's a lot of people that are still here. But as far as groups of people.
But we're not worried about them, guys. We're talking about the Jewish people.
I know, but it doesn't.
No.
It just doesn't sit well. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't agree.
I mean, you don't have to. You're of the devil.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Remember?
Wife is feeling a bit ornery tonight, I think.
Ornery. Ornery?
Ornery.
I love that you say ornery.
It's a Midwest thing.
It's such a Midwest thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's this podcast that I listen to. This girl that I really like her advice about writing. Like, she offers a lot of very good references.
Yeah.
But you could tell she's from the Midwest because she cannot differentiate between her pins and pens. So, like, every word that has an I or an E, she says it the opposite way.
Yeah, I do too.
Not as much.
But I do.
Not as much as this girl. This girl does it hard.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I have a light Midwest accent, and she has a hardcore Midwest accent.
Hardcore, yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like it almost takes me out of being able to listen to her because it annoys me. And I feel like that is classist of me. I took a sociology class when I was in college. Well, you look at me like I'm weird, so I'm trying to explain to you. When I was in college, I took the sociology class, and I went into it with the understanding that no, there's a proper way to speak, and there's, everything else is not proper. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then by the time the end of the semester, I understood that, oh no, that is a very classist point of view. And who gets to decide which God is right?
Yeah.
Who gets to decide which form of language is correct? Usually it's the people in power with the money, and they speak a certain way to differentiate themselves, and then they make fun of the poor. And also, they bar them from education and then laugh at them for not having education. Like, it's a very just oppressive cycle.
It's a class signaling.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
When you speak in a certain way, you're signaling your class along with, many other things that people can tell right off the bat about you, right? Yeah. And I'm sure that on our podcast, people judge us for the way we speak about things.
Sure.
Obviously, the cussing takes us down a notch, which we do on purpose.
Yes.
Because the thing is, fuck you if you judge me for cussing. Fuck you if you judge me for the things that, like if you choose to judge me because of how I'm conveying an idea versus what the idea is, fuck you. That's that, and I mean that in the nicest way to all of our listeners. Affectionately.
Yes, affectionately, fuck you.
But you are being judgmental. You are not allowing for the idea to parse into your, brain.
I think the problem is that there are some very, very, very elite and arrogant atheists out there. Yeah, guys, I'm talking to you.
Or not.
I mean, no, the ones I'm talking to.
Oh, the ones you're talking to, I'm
talking to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. They feel like this language takes away from the scholar that they are, the academic that they are. They are learned. They do not F-bomb. They are learned, and they are men of science. They are medical and technology, and they are smarty smarts.
But we talked about this when we first started this project, right? Mm-hmm. And the way that people talk about the Bible in general
is with too much reverence.
Yes. Right? And it doesn't allow people to hear it in a way that is disarming, right? Like, we allow people to see through the guise of the reverence of the Bible because we don't allow that reverence to come into it.
Well, that, and we're not scholars or academics, which we state all the fucking time.
Right.
So why would I not use F-bombs?
But beyond that, even without being scholars or academics, we could still read this with reverence. We could still read it with the idea that we're genuinely trying to, read it with every effort to make it sound beautiful and wonderful and all these things, and then comment, on the side from there. But no. The fact is that this book is used for wrong today, right now.
Yeah.
In our culture, as we're speaking, right?
Yeah.
And it's time to drop this veil of
pretending that this book has more importance and weight than it should have.
Yeah.
No, this book is a fucking piece of shit, just like any of the other religious texts. And I'm not going to pretend that it's not. And I am going to cuss if I want to, because fuck you.
Now, that being said, we will call out ideas that are good, right?
Yeah.
We do not want, we don't want to sit here and completely just Bible bash. That's not the point of the podcast.
I mean, sometimes I get a little carried away, I'll admit.
We do. But we do also, when we come across an idea that is better than other things we read, we make a point to say so.
Yes.
And I think that's the important aspect of what we're doing, is that we're reading it and allowing people to see through the reverence of this book.
Right.
And then still admit, yes, there is some beauty. Yes, there is some poetry.
It's been far and few between, but yeah.
It is. But and we're probably going to have to admit that more when we get to the New Testament than we have in the Old Testament, right? Sure. So I imagine that we're going to have to change our cadence a little bit when we get to the New Testament eventually.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous about it, honestly.
I think we'll be all right.
No, I know. It's just like, I'm okay. Like, I've been okay trashing the idea and notion of God because God is so generic, right? Like, whatever. But then, we're going to be dissing the Jesus. And like, it's so personal to so many people.
But that should be less intimidating, right? Because Jesus forgives. God kills.
Well, I don't know. I've been told that, Jesus is too woke.
Well, that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But, whatever.
I'm just saying, like, I have not yet shook off that timidness with regard to just being outright insulting
to Jesus.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You haven't?
I haven't.
Huh.
Most of my
I would not have guessed that.
You look
actually
a little flabbergasted.
Well,
I've never believed in the Jesus part of the whole God story.
But like what? And I'm not trying to judge you here.
No,
But what about it makes you timid?
I'm thinking on the fly here. Okay. So forgive me.
That's. But you kind of threw me for a loop here. I'm
aware of it, but I don't necessarily like it about myself. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, why is Jesus different from God?
That's why I'm curious.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it because it was just such a cultural reference that it has permeated into your brain, that you view Jesus as this this higher than life type figure that stands for certain things, and if we cut him down, then we're going too far?
I think it has more to do with, okay, stay with me here for a minute.
I'm trying.
I'm going to speak slowly and haltingly because I'm trying to get thoughts out as I'm processing them. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that when we're talking about God in general, or God of the Bible, the Old Testament in particular, it feels very generic and not any one particular religion. Yes,
could be Zeus.
Right. And yes, we are speaking about the Jewish people, right?
Sure.
And we know that the whole time, but I still don't feel it. Like, I don't, it doesn't matter to me. Not because Jewish people don't matter. I don't mean to intimate that. I just don't have a reference point for it. It doesn't strike me.
Well, the Old Testament God when doesn't get talked about a lot. Right. Like, it's not something that's in the normal, if you go to a church, it's not in that normal, service. Generally speaking, they're talking about the New Testament. So most of the time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have that. There's nothing in it that feels even the slightest bit personal.
Okay.
It's just very generic.
Yeah.
With the Jesus thing, that's like a step past higher power, whatever, right? Like Christians, I feel like they're so fucking weird because they took this idea of a higher power and then added to it.
Yeah.
And that is alive today. There are people, like our neighbors, that, I have a personal relationship with Jesus, and have you found Jesus, and are you saved by the blood of Jesus and washed in his blood and shit?
Right.
Like, I don't know, that it just feels different, and I can't fully explain why.
Okay. But
it's not going to stop me from saying it's bullshit.
Do you have any sense that you believe?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
No, this is not a respect for a being, a magical being.
Okay.
It's not. It's not reverence, and it's not a belief.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, what is it is it just like the idea that you're taking something that is so sacred to so many people and disparaging it?
Yeah, and then I'm wondering why it would bug me on a Christian's behalf, but not a Jewish person's behalf. And
I'm curious myself.
I'm curious, and I'm just trying to understand myself as I'm saying this. I wonder if there is some kind of like maybe accidentally ingrained anti-Semitism that I don't know about. Like, why would I not be offended on a Jewish person's behalf, but I would be on a Christian person's behalf?
I wouldn't view it that way. I don't think. I think that you've been exposed to more Christians in your life than you have Jewish folks.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I think that maybe it's more about, you see this religion through the eyes of people that you have known throughout your life.
And some of my family and friends.
And the part that rings through that part, the idea that rings through is Jesus.
Yeah.
Not the Old Testament God.
Right.
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 So the thing that you're railing against will be railing against this God, Jesus, that they take so seriously and love so much, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're thinking?
I'm
tiptoeing because I don't know.
No, I don't know either. And I mean, I'm gonna read it, and I'm still gonna be like, oh, that's stupid,
right?
Or I'll say, oh, that was kind of pretty though, honestly. Like, I'm gonna be the same way with it, but I do have a little bit of timidity and reserve, like anxiety, mild anxiety over it. Like, oh, shit's going to get real when we hit the New Testament.
I think I've gone way beyond any timid behavior with regard to calling out God and Jesus, because I don't have any respect for what is happening in our country that kind of goes along with this religious thought, right? Now, I appreciate the allies. I appreciate the people who believe in the woke Jesus, in the Jesus that accepts people, that is loving, that is whatever.
Yeah.
I've got no problem with people that view their religion in general, regardless of whatever that religion is, as long as you accept people and aren't trying to infringe on my rights.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm fine with you. You do you believe whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Sure.
But when it becomes a vessel for hate, that's when I no longer give a fuck, and I'm going to rail against that thing. And that thing has become evangelical Christianity, right-wing Christianity, Christian nationalist Christianity,
MAGA stuff,
yeah,
Nazism,
and that's generally what I rail against. It's not the people who are just spiritual and love their God, right? Like, we have people in our Discord that we talk to on a regular basis that are Christian, and it has we're really great friends with them, and they make some really great conversation, right?
Because they ask questions and we ask questions, and it's just a fun dialogue.
It is.
And very thoughtful. And Chloe, we're talking about you, sweetheart.
Yeah.
We have some very interesting and deep conversations, which is kind of similar to what got me and you started in the first place, was these conversations.
Yes.
And it's neat to have that with somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think maybe what I'm feeling is, I think you're right. I think it has to do with proximity to people of different faiths. And I am less exposed to people of Jewish faith than Christian faith. And I don't like, even though like I bark, I'm all bark and very little bite, because I cannot stand confrontation, even though I am very dramatic and I make the confrontation.
Right.
I can't stand it. And I feel like I'm setting myself up for a confrontation with somebody, anybody.
Well, if you had been managing the social media like I have been, you would have known that we already are being very confrontational with people.
I'm sure that's part of why I avoid social media like I do.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to here's the thing. I don't mind them having a negative opinion of me, right? Like, I don't care. I'm happy in my own skin. I'm fine with who I am and what I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean I want to be exposed to a constant barrage of how much they hate me, how big my forehead is or whatever.
Well, let me ask you this. As we've gone through the Bible, the Old Testament, obviously,
mm-hmm.
have you regretted anything that you've said about the God of the Bible?
No. Only the times when I've got it wrong or,
Sure.
misremembered the wrong
but
person.
I mean, the sentiment. Have you regretted any of the sentiment
No, I have
toward
not.
the God of the Bible?
Not that I can recall. No.
Okay. So I feel like you're going to handle the Jesus side of this much the same way.
But I haven't had to defend myself either.
I get it. I understand. And that's generally my job, is I do the defending. But it's still... when you are pushed, you have very good responses to why you feel the way you do. And I think you could handle yourself just fine. It wouldn't be the same way I do it. I tend to be more of the picking apart type of arguer than you. You formulate your ideas in a very emotional and just how you feel and why you feel the way you feel.
Yes.
Type of a sentiment.
Sure.
Right? And I think that is actually a lot of times more effective than the way I handle it, because it's coming from a personal side of it as opposed to a logical side of it. I handle the logic, you handle the emotion, and that's why this kind of meshes really well sometimes.
That's
because
true.
we come at this from two different sides of the coin.
I think you're right, because when I have had the few odd conversations with my parents about religion, which we all try to avoid, God help us all, so to speak. And usually it's just me and my mom, not my dad.
Yeah.
When me and my mom get into these conversations, she does respond really well when I'm able to say, I feel, like use my I feel, like, therapy tells you to do.
Right.
And like, I hear what you're saying and I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't strike me, and I feel this way instead. And, providing an example or,
ultimately, I think for a lot of people out there that religion, because they're not really well versed in what it actually is on an intellectual and they haven't studied the Bible thoroughly, right? They don't know everything about it. They're not educated on the Bible exactly. They know enough to be dangerous, and that's about it, right? So I feel like for most people who are Christian, the sentiment that they're going to convey generally is going to be a feeling about how they feel about their God, how they feel about their religion, how they feel about these things that come through this whole process of being religious, right?
Right.
And when I come at them with logic, that doesn't sit the same way with them,
right,
as with somebody who's speaking from an emotional side and saying, I don't understand this because I feel like, this, blah, blah, blah,
right.
blah, right?
Or I can't reconcile that.
I can be very righteous and
indignant even.
Yeah. I don't try to be that way, but when someone, I do and I don't.
You carry an authority about you that I completely lack.
Right. And
part of that is being a man.
But part of it, something I have had to learn since we've started this podcast, especially on social media, is pulling my ego back from a conversation. Because I have a very large ego when it comes to when I feel like I'm right about something, my ego is right there.
Yeah.
But I have had to learn to pull it back from conversations, because my goal is not to attack people. I'm not trying to attack people.
Right.
From my perspective and my way of dealing with this whole question of God and this whole question of religion is to ask questions. I want to know why. I want to know how.
Yeah.
I want to know the answer.
Right.
And when they can't provide it, I still do get upset a little bit, depending on how the conversation's going, right?
Right.
But I'm trying really hard to keep my distance from that ego that gets involved in those conversations, because a lot of the best conversations I have I respond respectfully and with questions, because you're not going to convince anybody. And if you know that going in, why get mad about it? Why get pissed off?
Right.
It's going to be what it is. The only people that I get pissed off at now really are the ones that are just there to be trolls and just on purpose antagonize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the ones that I do still.
They send you 1,000 links and.
Right. Yeah. So,
or they tell you a bunch of bullshittery that takes up like 3 full tweets.
Yeah. And
wall
I
of
mean,
text.
If you're the unfortunate soul who decided to attack me that day and I was in a bad mood, then I probably sent, 25 responses to your initial tweet that I was blasting you on. So
oh my gosh.
I apologize for that if that was you and you're listening to rebut me, but whatever, if you want to come at me with facts and things that you're going to prove, then do it.
Yeah.
Don't come at me and give me sentiment and give me, hopeful thought. That doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
I don't operate under wishes and hopes. I operate under facts and logic.
It strikes me like people's faith in Jesus when I'm around them, it strikes me the same way as when I'm around people that like are super into crystals and astrology and tarot card reading and that kind of stuff. Like, they all very much believe what they believe. And it's always like this personal thing that, either if you know, and if you don't, you can't.
But again, it doesn't bother me unless they say you need to do this also.
Right.
That's when it starts bothering me.
Right.
I don't need to do that. I don't need to believe what you believe.
Right.
You can fuck right off with that.
Right. No, I totally agree. I'm still trying to parse out like what my feelings are about the whole Jesus thing.
Sure.
And
I'm sure we'll get into that even more when we get into the New Testament.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me finish this
Yeah,
up.
we were
I'm
almost
so
done,
sorry.
but then we got off on a sidebar there for quite a while.
Yeah, there's 3 sentences left. Well, I'm sorry. That was me, I think, starting it, and then I flabbered your gaster.
Yeah.
And you were like, hold on, record scratch.
Right.
So, sorry about that.
I would rather go down, these rabbit holes
Yeah.
than not, because I think we have some of our best conversations doing that.
No, absolutely.
Just
And,
hashing out what we believe and why we believe it,
I mean, these are our back patio talks.
Yeah,
this is
exactly. That's
why we started this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I love you.
I love you too.
Hear this and testify against the descendants of Jacob, declares the Lord God Almighty. On the day I punish Israel for her sins, I will destroy the altars of Bethel. The horns of the altar will be cut off and fall to the ground.
Wow.
Blah!
Okay.
I will tear down the winter house along with the summer house.
Okay.
I think he's talking about like the storerooms.
Sure.
And like the,
okay.
When it's hot, we stay over here.
He's going to do the bad. He's going to
Yeah.
tear things down. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The houses adorned with ivy will be destroyed.
But if you don't have ivy, you're good.
And the mansions will be demolished.
Fucking mansions.
Declares the Lord. The end.
I wonder, because there is some, like, especially in the older books, there is some love for the downtrodden and poor.
Yeah.
Right?
Earlier on.
So I wonder if ivy is an indicator of a higher status. Possibly. I'm not saying that it is for sure. But if you took the time to decorate your house and make it look fancy, like maybe ivy was a way to indicate you
like
took time to curate your house in a certain way back then.
You're saying it's like a class sign?
Well, otherwise, why would they indicate that he's going to tear down the houses with ivy as opposed to just the houses?
Oh, right? I said ivy, but it's actually ivory.
Oh.
The houses adorned with ivory will be destroyed.
Then
and
it is a classist thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he is railing against the rich and the powerful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes way more sense. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad we revisited that.
Yeah, sorry. That's my apologies. Yeah, they took the tusks right off of those elephants.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes me sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof. We watched an episode of Torchwood with Kid last night, and there was a monster that was from like another dimension, time rift kind of thing, and it kept regrowing parts, and these butchers kept cutting off pieces of it to sell like for hamburgers or whatever.
Yeah.
and you could hear the creature like crying in pain every time they did it.
Yeah,
and
it was kind of tragic.
I was like, I don't even remember. Like, we already watched that show like years ago.
Yeah.
But now Kid is old enough that they're wanting to watch it.
Because it's an offshoot from like Doctor Who.
Yeah. And we're all caught up on the Doctor Who. So we had to watch Torchwood. Speaking
of which, I have to say this real quick.
Okay.
The new Disney Doctor Who, the first 2 episodes suck complete fucking ass.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I mean, I can understand if you stop watching it after the first or second episode.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. Like, it's totally understandable, and I don't even blame you a little bit.
No.
It was complete trash and awful.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking. Well, they Disneyfied it.
They fucked it up bad.
Yeah, they did.
But if you did stop watching on episode 1 or 2, it does get better.
I think so. There's a lot of people that don't think so, but I have to wonder if they're only speaking of the first 2.
Those first 2 episodes leave a really fucking bad taste in your mouth. Right. I mean, they really do.
But by the end of that season,
they've turned it around.
I was like, whoa, there was some good stuff happening.
Yeah, the first 2 episodes, it was like Disney did their fucking Disney princess with goddamn Doctor Who, and I'm like, fuck you, Disney.
Yeah.
The hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
And they basically ruined it.
They did.
But then they brought the old writer back, and
Moffat.
He kind of fixed it. So
yeah.
I think he kind of fixed it.
God bless the Moffat.
No.
I just have to say it every once in a while because it's funny.
Oh, okay.
Because, we're an atheist podcast.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay.
Logic bless the Moffat. Yeah.
Void, I've heard people say.
Math.
Yep. And butterflies.
Right. Sure. Okay, so we're gonna get out of here.
Okie dokie.
That was Amos chapter 3.
Sure as fuck was.
And tomorrow even we're gonna be back with Amos chapter 4.
Yes, that is correct. We will.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
To get people excited about Boost Mobile's new nationwide 5G network, we're offering unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month.
Forever.
Even if you have a baby.
Even if your baby has a baby.
Even if you grow old and wrinkly and you start repeating yourself.
Even if you start repeating yourself.
Even if you're on your deathbed and you need to make one last call.
Or text.
Right, or text. The long-lost son you abandoned at birth.
You'll still get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile.
Forever!
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Forever!
How did you actually sleep last night? If it didn't feel like your very best rest, then you need to upgrade to the softest, most luxurious bedding from Boll & Branch. Their signature sheets are made from the finest 100% organic cotton and get softer with every wash. Millions of sleepers love their sheets, and right now, you can feel the difference for yourself during their biggest sales of the entire year. Hurry to bollandbranch.com to shop their best offers. Limited time only. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.